Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this, the Cult Movie Podcast. Cult Potato, as always. I am your host, Campion, and joining me from the distant year of 1999, Mr. Greedy Hooker. How's it going?
It's going good. I look forward to getting a cell phone soon.
Yes. A cell phone, only for the fax machine to make a comeback in the year 2015.
Now I need to figure out when the iPhone was released.
It was like late 2000s, wasn't it? Like, I want to say 2009 is where I want to throw my ballpark figure. 2008?
2007.
Ooh.
Well, I look forward to getting a cell phone in 8 years.
Would your parents have even bought you a cell phone at the time?
2007, 12, maybe. There's a shot. Look, the reason you're making that joke is because we're going to be talking about Futurama, right? I assume.
Yes. We're talking about, of course, another favorite show of yours and mine. Of course, made by Matt Groening, the creator of The Simpsons. Futurama, a show that I, like quite a few people out there, I'm sure, especially considering the later seasons, consider to be vastly superior to The Simpsons.
In every way possible.
Yes. In fact, okay, say we only got, like, classic Simpsons, right? So the first 10 or so seasons, okay? Okay, I know people say that it drops off, like, a bit before that, but I'm giving it a bit of leeway, yeah. Classic Simpsons against Futurama, which one do you think is better? Because obviously if we take all of it, including the recent dog shit stuff, like...
No, Futurama by a mile, man. It was... Like, Simpsons was good, but it just wasn't... I don't know, it doesn't click as much as people going out on space journeys and doing stupid stuff.
It definitely has that, the sci-fi adventure kind of thing going for it. And for me, like, even though, Simpsons is filled with iconic characters, the cast of Futurama always clicked a lot better for me. Especially since the Simpsons family themselves, they're okay, but I do find myself getting more invested in the Futurama gang than I ever did with the Simpsons.
Yeah, if you made me, like, rank the characters from Simpsons and from Futurama, the Futurama characters would be a lot higher up. Just in terms of their personalities, the things they do, etc. Like Bender is a god tier character, full stop. It's going to take a lot to beat him.
Yeah, and I never even continued watching after the first season of Disenchanted. Like, I don't know. I've heard that it kind of improves after that, but I don't know.
You made it more than me. I made it 3 episodes.
Yeah, like, it wasn't even that it was bad, it was just kind of...
meh.
It's like meh, the TV show.
Yeah, which is sad, when you look at all of the previous things that Groening's done and stuff, and you look at your Futurama.
namely Simpsons and Futurama.
Yeah, but even, like, Futurama is, it's getting a reboot next year, or a continuation.
Yeah, I think it is. I think it is a straight continuation
for the 16th time. I'm sure it'll last a whole year before being cancelled again.
Hey man, if Community taught us anything, a cult favorite show can never be cancelled.
I think if Futurama taught us anything, I believe they wrote 4 series finales.
Yeah.
As the show just kept getting cancelled and uncancelled over and over and over.
Yeah, it probably doesn't have a record for the show that's been cancelled and uncancelled the most times, but it's happened, like, a bunch of times at this point, rivaling even, like, Family Guy and Power Rangers, I think.
I'm trying to Google quickly now.
Like, how many times it's been cancelled and uncancelled, or what show is the most cancelled?
What show is the most cancelled? But it's not real. There's not a lot of details I can get up quickly. I don't know if you search best TV shows that were cancelled, Futurama comes up. But, yeah. It's had a few. And every time it was, well written, endings as well. And somehow they always just brought it back with it just being like, oh, that's the Box Network over there. We don't talk about the Box Network. Or various other jokes about the network they were on and the network they're on now. Reviving it from literally the dead or killing off all their characters, going forward in time, back in time. They always did something, and it was always interesting to watch because you never knew whether there'd be more Futurama episodes or not.
In fact, for many, 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 many years, I thought, yep, okay, done and dusted. No more Futurama. And then, of course, earlier this year, it's coming back. It's coming back on Hulu. So, will it be good?
Never count it out.
Yeah.
Never count it out. It's been 10 years, I think. 2013, I think, was the end of its last run before this.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Yeah. Okay, well, I believe there was also like an audio drama that ran on, I think it was Nerdist, to promote that mobile game that came out a few years back.
Ah, okay. We don't count that. But I'm going to do what you did last week. I'm going to try and put some structure
because
in.
If Community was an unorganized beast, this one is just a chaotic mess, because this is definitely like way more serialized than actually no, not serialized. This is way less serialized than Community was. And Community was always, adventure of the week, but this one is like, hey man, stuff's happening on this episode that may or may not have something to do with the previous episode or the following episode. Who knows? It's like The Simpsons. You could watch most of The Simpsons out of order and it wouldn't make any difference.
Yeah, I think when I looked down and I was trying to figure out what episodes to rewatch, I ended up rewatching about 15, 16 episodes before we did this podcast. And they were all ones that I thought highly of, or the internet thought highly of, and most of them were the story-driven ones. I gave the false impression to my partner that Futurama was a very sad and serious show because that was all the episodes we kept watching because they were the story-driven ones.
Whoa. She hasn't seen Futurama.
They'd seen bits and pieces.
Okay. It's like The Simpsons. Most people haven't seen all of it, but they've seen bits and pieces.
Yeah, they were aware of
the get used to the... It's like The Simpsons. Get used to that. That's, it's going to come up a lot.
Yeah, they were aware of the show, the concept, and had seen like episodes around the place, but this was the first time someone had sat them down and said, hey, we're watching Futurama.
Yeah. I imagine there's quite a lot of shows like that. Like shows shows that, you've seen every now and again, but you don't really sit down to watch. But most people haven't sat down to like watch the whole thing. Like, what's that other animated show that Matt Groening did? It's not coming to mind, but it'll come to me.
You doing a funny?
Yes, Grady, I'm doing a funny. I literally just said The Simpsons, Grady. Can you please move on?
I would need to check if you were doing a funny. Sometimes I think you're doing a funny and you're not doing a funny.
Well, it's nice to know that my delivery is that terrible that you have to check. It's like, Campion, is this comedy? I can't tell.
So who's your favorite character, Campion?
Okay, I thought long and hard about this because it's difficult because like there's no... It's just, for me, the characters in the show work when they're together. There isn't like any singular...
You're stealing my answer.
...character that I can really latch onto. I can say I'm not as big of a fan of Bender as most people are. I'm not a big Bender guy. I think he's a bit much. Like, don't get me wrong, he isn't bad. I definitely love him to bits and he's hilarious. But, he's just a bit much of a jerk sometimes, and that kind of rubs me the wrong way from time to time.
Yeah, I was gonna steal that piece. We talked about Community last week, and we talked about all these individual characters that have so much story behind them, so much character development, but we still pointed out, Troy and Abed and that connection, Troy, Abed, Annie, that connection, and that's what makes that show work. And I think it's very similar here. It's not, Fry is the best character in the world, Leela is the best character in the world, or Bender. It's the dynamic between Fry and Bender, the dynamic between Fry and Leela, or the Professor, or Amy, or Hermes, and it's all of those and how they work together on a piece. It seems as though with Futurama, more than any other show, you could pick 2 or 3 characters just randomly out of the main or supporting cast, put them in a room together, and they would work together. Like, there's just chemistry between everybody.
Yeah, and in fact, I'd say there are several episodes where they do just that.
Yeah. Yeah, it happens a lot where you don't expect it, and just randomly, it's like a Zoidberg and Hermes episode.
Or even like because it's something that I didn't really think about it until I rewatched it. But there's an episode where Bender and Hermes go off together on an adventure, and I'm like, we haven't actually had a solo Bender and Hermes adventure, and yet it just works like naturally. It's like, yeah, these two just work together, and it's the one where they have to go to Mexico to find out who approved Bender with his faulty memory backup unit.
Yep. Yeah. It's always, I don't know. I don't think there's too.
Grady, did you hit your mic?
Shut up.
I can hear it.
I don't think there's a combination of 2 characters that don't work together. And that's the pure benefit of this show, and probably made writing for it super easy.
Yeah. But in saying that, the best character is Zoidberg. Like, I'm sorry.
That's fair.
He's my favorite.
I'll let you have Zoidberg. He's very random, off the wall, and does his job well. Yeah, he's just a lot of fun. He's just despite being a doctor, he's perpetually poor, and he's terrible at his job, and the universe keeps, just shitting on him. But he's just got a great attitude, and I just find that very endearing. He's like the Waspinator of the Futurama universe. The Water?
I'm sorry. You know I love throwing out references you will never get. Moving on.
Yeah. Zoidberg also had, quite a few nice episodes about himself. And always featuring as well. Like, I looked back at, I think it was called 300 Big Ones, where Fry tries to drink 100 cups of coffee in a day.
Yeah. That's because wasn't it one where like everyone gets like $300 and they all spend it a different, like Bender uses it to steal, like to buy some like thieving supplies to steal a cigar.
Yep. And Zoidberg gets featured pretty heavily in that one as well, trying to be a fancy pants rich man. And yeah, he also just works in everything. There's the episode where they go back to his home planet to try and find him a mate.
Yeah.
It's always good. He had a breakdown, I don't remember in which episode, about his parents pushing him to be a doctor.
To be fair, he has quite a few breakdowns, that poor man.
That is true.
Yeah.
If he doesn't whoop, 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 whoop as he runs out of a room, is it really an episode?
Yeah. And this shows you how much of a millennial I am. I didn't know that was homaging the Three Stooges. I just assumed that was a Futurama original thing.
You're blowing my mind right now. I'm going to pretend you didn't.
No, yeah, Curly from the Three Stooges. That's his thing. The whoop, 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 whoop. That's his thing.
All right.
Oh, was it? It was one of them. I've actually watched a few of the Three Stooges shorts. It actually translates surprisingly well to the modern day. Slapstick comedy is just one of those things that's just always funny.
Yeah, I think now that you're saying it, I can definitely like see it or hear it and stuff, but it's not something I'd thought about prior.
Yeah. There's a few things like that. Like Bugs Bunny's famous like, "Hey, what's up, Doc?" Is also taken from something. I don't remember from what, but it is like paying homage to something.
Okay. So how do you want to structure this one? Because I know we went character by character in Community, but I feel like there's 600 characters in Futurama, and that one might be a little bit harder.
Yeah. Like, it's, and as I said before, it is definitely more ensemble. Like, Community was ensemble, but this is like super ensemble. I think that just, I think we just jumped straight into just episodes that we really liked. And I think the one that I want to start off with, well, the ones that I start off with is, okay, so Matt Groening and a lot of the Star Trek writers, they're nerds. Like, that is very obvious from the work that they've done. That's the reason why Comic Book Guy from The Simpsons exists. They are colossal nerds. And Futurama did a science fiction show, and so, of course, they had a whole series of episodes, poking, that were just affectionate jabs at Star Trek, like a lot of Star Trek actors, Leonard Nimoy, may he rest in peace, in particular, and it had one of the Star Trek episodes. Like, don't worry, there's a few of them that reference it, like the Poplar episode. The title of that, The Problem with Poplars, is a reference to a famous episode from the original series, The Trouble with Tribbles. Spanish Fry is a reference to like Spock's brain. But of course, there's the ultimate Star Trek tribute episode. One of my favorites, where no fan has gone before, where they have to travel to that remote planet with that sentient cloud who's just a colossal Star Trek fan, and he's forcing the original cast to act out his like fan screenplays and stuff. Absolutely great. I rewatched it and I thought, oh man, I think I only liked it just because it's, it's Star Trek and I love Star Trek. And then I rewatch it and I'm like, actually, this is still really good. This is still really funny, and it's taking jabs at Star Trek and Star Trek fandom, but it still clearly has this great love and respect for it. And I could just feel the catharsis because they brought back pretty much all of the original cast members except for the guy who played Scotty. They came back to play themselves, not their characters, like themselves. Like Shatner plays himself, Nimoy plays himself, and I could just feel the catharsis for these people, just kind of ribbing on the fandom that they've been having to deal with for several decades at that point. And yeah, it's just all in all just a phenomenal episode. It definitely gave me some big Galaxy Quest vibes. And I can't believe we haven't covered that yet. Is that on the list? Can we put Galaxy Quest on the list? Is it on the list?
It's coming to the end, Campion. It's not on the list.
We need to extend this out. You need to put Galaxy Quest on there. We have to watch that.
We're already going past Christmas.
But I love it's such a good movie. But anyway,
I think the thing in general, and I'll come back to the Star Trek episode, is that obviously I haven't seen a lot of these Futurama episodes in a little while. Sort of the same, and I'd gone in knowing I liked a bunch of these episodes. Same with you in the Star Trek, and I don't think any of them failed to deliver. I think all of them still hit all those notes. I still laughed. I still enjoyed my time. There wasn't any I watched back and was like, ooh, okay, maybe this isn't as good as I remember.
I am Googling worst Futurama episodes graded. You say that, I think they all hit the mark, and I'm just looking up because I know
all the ones I rewatched hit the mark.
There's got to be some stinkers in there.
But with the Star Trek one, I think it's real obvious when people are making fun of something and when people enjoy it and are making fun of it. Like, there's a very big difference between somebody just shitting on something else or someone genuinely enjoying something but can still point out how shitty it is. And that's where you get a lot of the stuff, like Futurama making fun of Star Trek, etc.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. The episode where Kif got pregnant, that was It
was eh.
It was eh. Okay. Do you remember the professional wrestling episode?
Weird. Is it the robot professional wrestling?
Yes.
I remember the concept.
Yeah.
That's didn't rewatch it.
It was okay. The one where Zoidberg tries to become a Hollywood actor with his washed-up actor of an uncle.
That one I don't remember.
Yeah, I remember that one. That was kind of it's Attack of the Killer App. Yeah, okay, yeah, that definitely the one where Fry and Bender race to become like viral sensations and stuff.
I don't remember that one either. I've erased all bad Futurama episodes out of my brain.
Yeah, I mean, again, these episodes are not bad, but they're not good. Like they're ones that I tend to skip on the rewatch.
Mm. Yeah, look, I'm gonna bring it up. We're 20 minutes into the show. I'm gonna say two words. I'm gonna lean back. I'm just gonna say Jurassic Park, and then that's it. That episode. It is a solid episode.
It is a very solid episode. One that I skip on the rewatch every time because it's just too sad. I can't deal with it.
I don't know what I sent you. I remember sending you something, like, as I was watching that one.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm gonna scroll up. I am gonna find this. But it is sad. It is always... It's like almost, I don't know, catharsis. It's a good fun to watch, but you're not gonna come out of it like smiling or anything like that.
If I'm gonna be honest, Grady, I think Jurassic Park is a bit overrated.
I wrote am now sad. I just wrote watch Jurassic Park, am now sad. I don't know. I think it's got its high points. I can definitely see what everybody says about it. It's one of those ones where everybody holds it so highly, so automatically it's got such a high bar to live up to. It's not a like crazy brand new concept. Like it is based in reality with I want to say the dog in Japan. That it's based on. The entire subplot that is not, or the B plot of the episode is garbage. Bender is just a right asshole in that episode as well. Which, as you said, is like one of the worst parts of his character when he just crosses that line into total D-bag that you don't want to empathize with.
He's best when he skirts the line, not when he crosses right over. Just like, oh, he's stealing fries while he doesn't notice. Oh, that's funny. Oh, he's just doing pointlessly cruel things for no real reason. Oh, that's less than funny.
Like, I don't know how much you remember of Jurassic Park, given you skip it, but like when he just picks up the dog and just hiffs it into lava and says like, have fun with your best friend now, and just like walks out of the room because he thinks it's funny. Like, it's a little harsh there. There's definitely critiques of the episode for sure. I'm not going to sit here and say that any of these like episodes of Futurama are like the best piece of media ever and are unfallible. It's Futurama. It's a television show. It's always going to have its bits and bobs that are wrong with it.
Yeah, and okay, but I think we've been talking, a bit about hey, these are the not great episodes, but let's get back on track, Grady. What's another great episode? And I realize you did just do one, but I want you to go next because I'm still thinking about what to say.
Devil's Hands Are Idle Playthings.
That is also a very good episode. Really funny.
That is my favorite one of all time.
Because like episodes and comedies that have an emotional core, I like them, but they're not always my fave. But I like it when they can kind of mix it really well, and it has some pretty good moments, particularly towards the end. When Fry's trying to learn how to play I completely forget what it's called.
Holophone.
The weird flute that, the thing, and that shows up quite a few times in the series.
Yeah, there's something about it just at its emotional core. I think it was one of the ones that was planned to be the series finale as well. And I love the robot devil as a character. I love the concept of making a deal with the devil. In this case, it wasn't a golden fiddle; it was a holophone, or literally the devil's hands. But I don't know, just everything about this episode hit for me. It's another one where Bender's a bit of a dick, but the B plot and everything throughout is pretty solid as well. So it always rates as like my top episode and one that I always like to go back on. We watched it last night because I wanted it to be like the last one I watched before coming in to record, because we'll switch into the new TV show after this one, and that's my like ending piece.
I think like another one for me is okay, I rewatch it every time I rewatch it, but it's purely a me thing. It's because it appeals to me. I love it when shows do a superhero episode. I don't know why. I just love it when non-superhero things do the superhero thing. I just find it very endearing. So yes, the superhero episode is great. I think it's really funny. The zookeeper himself is just has a lot of really good jokes, like the part where he sends his hawk down to grab the gem that he's stealing, even though he's standing like 2 feet away, and they're just like, that was a bit unnecessary. And of course, Citizen Snips, the little crab, how everyone makes a big deal about this tiny little crab was hilarious to me. Again, it's not going to appear on everyone's favorite lists. I just think it's very funny, and I just find it just appeals to me, Grady, just as a person.
Yeah, when I was looking at like other people's lists of ones to watch as a part of my rewatch, it was on a couple of lists here and there. It didn't make my cut, but I know the episode, and I think, as you say, Futurama does a few of these. Genre might not be the right thing, but hops between styles, at least.
It doesn't go in it as hard as, say, something like Community does.
But they don't have paintball episodes.
Yeah, they do occasionally dip their toes into it. And I just have to say, because I know that a lot of people don't like them, I'm fully aware that the superhero episode does contain copious amounts of Leela's parents, which a lot of people are not fans of, and I can see why. They they're not that great if we're being completely honest.
All right, I wasn't expecting this. I'll go with this. I don't know. I don't hate them. It was a weird. I don't know if it was always the plan for them to go with the Leela character. For those not aware, she was played off as an alien from the start. With no known parents and just sort of orphan kind of piece on Earth, and you later find out that she's actually a sewer mutant, the least mutated mutant.
The orphan stuff is honestly kind of funny though.
Yeah,
they get some good jokes out of the whole orphanarium thing.
Yeah, but really the only twist there is that she's a mutant rather than an alien. Yeah. It does remove the whole orphan piece, though, when you do find your parents and you can dip back to them all the time.
Yeah. I do think it was something that they decided fairly early on, because I do remember in an early-ish episode, not sure which season, Leela's looking up at the sky and she's like, oh, I just, hope that somewhere up there, my parents are sort of looking down on me, and then it kind of pans down to the sewer, and we see 2 one-eyed people looking at her from out of the sewer.
Yeah, that's true. So, it's just that piece of lore that, for me, it doesn't cause any big problem. The only thing is it just, I guess, it's almost like Crutch lent on once she's found them. The episode where they are dealing with the mutants and Fry goes down there and I'd say gets mutated, but gets covered in, I think it was Mr. Astor. And comes out looking all mutated, and they're fighting for mutant rights and stuff like that, which may or may not have been an X-Men riff. I'm not 100% sure. But I like that episode. But that's kind of the only cool moment that I can list with her parents for sure.
Yeah, I think the main reason that her parents just aren't super duper well liked is just, it's not so much for what they did for the story, it's just that they're very annoying characters. Like, they're very one note. They're
definitely one note. I'll give you one note.
Yeah, their personalities aren't the most fun thing to really experience or be around.
Yeah, it's tough, right? Because with this being such an ensemble cast of like over 100 characters, a lot of the characters on that list are one note. That's what they get away with. They just do their one thing. It's funny and they move on. But I guess with these being a parent character or somebody who's a bit more important to the storyline, people wanted a bit more from. But Alzar says bam. That's pretty much all he's got.
Morbo talks about destroying people.
Yeah, it's like, they're not the most deep characters in the world. We like them for their one note. Their one noteness.
They show up, they say something funny, and then they come.
Yeah, that's pretty much all of the extended cast.
There comes the pen, marking down where I swore.
Did you hear me click the pen?
I heard you click the pen.
Yeah. Look, I gotta click the pin. I gotta mark down the time code, or else editing Grady will have a nightmare.
I thought you said that was future Grady's problem.
Look, syncing is future Grady's problem. Future Grady yells at me when he doesn't note down the swearing times. Another good episode. You mentioned it earlier, the problem with poplars. Again, it's not a lot of people's favorite episodes, but I do keep coming back to it. I don't know what it is about humans cannibalizing an entire race, thinking they're fried chicken is funny to me, but I quite like the episode.
And to be fair, it has a lot of really good jokes in there, like the bit at the end where they're trying to pass off an ape as Leela, and everyone's just like, it looks just like her!
Yeah, and they convince the entire Earth to just, like, be quiet, except for this one hippie.
Yeah, and then he eats the hippie at the end, and he's like, what? and then Lur of the planet Omicron, Percy-I-8, starts tripping.
Yeah.
Actually, Lur is another good side character that I quite like.
Also very one note.
Very one note, but he's hilarious, and he also sounds a lot like Morbo.
I would not be surprised if they were the same voice actor.
Yes.
I will get that information up. I will move quickly.
I think the parallel universe episode, where they travel to a universe where like Bender is gold, Leela's dyed her hair a different color, the professor's removed her brain, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Morbo is voiced by Maurice LaMarche, and Lura is voiced by Maurice LaMarche.
There we go. Hey, if you have one terrifying alien voice and it's good, why deny the world that?
Yeah, he's good at it. The alternated dimension stuff's good. What else have I written down as episodes that I rewatched? As I said, I watched a lot of the story ones. So, like, obviously the first episode, The Day the Earth Stood Still.
Actually, the first episode's probably an example of an episode I don't really like. I always skip it, if I'm being honest.
I did it mainly just to get the plot across. Like, it is, when Fry gets frozen, it does all of those bits and pieces. Honestly, the show is probably at its weakest when it's based in 1999. There's not a lot of good ones back there.
Yeah. Because, especially since, that episode that early on, similar to Community, they just really hadn't found themselves, although it takes them a lot quicker to find their feet than it did with Community. Because if you'll notice, John DiMaggio, his Bender voice is very, very different in those early episodes. He isn't as loud or he feels a bit more muted than what you would identify as like classic Bender.
Yeah, it does take a bit. Even like Leela was so uptight in the opening piece. It does just, as you say, take time to get footing here and there. But much like I watched the first episode of Community, I watched the first one here. I'm gonna watch the first one of the next TV show we have up. It's, I guess, just the launch pad for the show, and the pilots aren't always exactly the same as what we end up with.
Yeah. And of course, you see that one shot that they get a lot of mileage out of, the series of shots of Fry falling into the cryogenic freezing tube, which they get a lot of mileage out of in the episodes to come. Did you like the whole Nibbler storyline, like the time travel stuff? Did you like that?
That's where I was sort of going with like all the episodes that I watched. So I watched the first episode. I watched The Day the Earth Stood Stupid, where the brains invaded.
That's a good one. That's a really good episode.
Yeah, and
like when they start hopping in all those books and stuff.
It's that sort of through line of, we originally think that Fry fell into the cryo chamber, and then no, it was an alien that pushed him in.
And then as the series goes on, there's like a bajillion. You find out that by the end, there's like a bajillion. Most of the cast has been in that room at some point.
Yeah, it's. I find it funny. Do I like the plot line? I think it's probably better than a person randomly fell into a tube and is like super important later on. I like that there's a reason. And so I'm not too hating on it. I think it's probably one of the better ways you could have done it, for sure. And by the sounds of it, you don't like the Nibbler storyline?
Oh, no, yeah, I'm not talking about just that. I mean all of it. Just kind of what you think. Because I'm a fan of the brain stuff, to be honest. Like, of course, there's the first brain episode. Then there's the one where, with the giant brain that is trying to like scan the whole universe and stuff, and Fry has to go in and blow it up.
It's because he's got those dumb people brainwaves.
Yes, and that's how we get the Scooty Puff Jr.
Yeah.
Which is always a great joke.
Yeah, no, I enjoy it all. It's definitely not the worst storyline that Futurama has ever done, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I would rewatch it. I did at least watch the parts of that storyline. I didn't quite find the one when Nibbler goes back and does it. I think the Niblonians as a race are done well sometimes and not done well other times. And we'll get to one of the times I think they're actually not done well in another one of my favorite episodes later on, but sometimes they can be the highlight, and you're making jokes about them being this cute race despite the fact they're like saving Earth, and then other times they just grate a little bit. But no, I enjoy a little bit of it. I don't like us staying back in that 1999 time for too long, for sure.
Okay, we've touched on this, Grady. A little bit. We like our side characters, all right? We think they're pretty great. Which one's your favorite of like the potentially hundreds of different side characters this show has had? Which one stands out to you as like this one? This one's Grady's. I like this one.
All glory to the Hypnotoad.
Straight up, I'm not even messing with you. That is Mac Groening's favorite character.
It's a pretty good character, I'm gonna be honest.
It's such a dumb it's a dumb one-note joke, but man, does that note hit. Whenever Hypnotoad shows up. Always funny. Still funny. For me, Zap Brannigan. I don't think there's a single Zap episode that isn't absolutely hysterical.
Yeah. For the record, non-Hypnotoad joke, I would say Robot Devil. Really good character. Zap, I think... Zap is... It's weird, right? Because he's like one of the most important supporting characters. He is also one note, but again, the note just keeps on hitting.
The note is that he's a dumb scum, is that he's just a horrible scumbag. But
He's Joey from Friends if he had no charisma.
No, he's like if you took William Shatner's Captain Kirk and slammed him into Joey from Friends, and that's what you would get.
There you go.
Because I'm pretty sure he is like a parody of Captain Kirk. Like, I'm pretty sure.
Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah,
hang on, I'm just reading something. Apparently he was originally pitched as, what if William Shatner was the captain of the Enterprise? Not Kirk. Gotcha. Shatner.
Yeah, I can see it, for sure. Yeah.
If Kirk was more like the actor who played him. Okay. There we go.
Yeah. I'll take it. He is definitely a good character. I think his riffing with Kif is pretty good as well. Like having that just sidekick on the side, that punching bag basically, really alleviates him.
Yeah, and there's also the whole how whenever he's on screen, it mentions how he did this grand heroic deed against people who are either weak or just outright pacifists. Like, oh yes, his victory against the retiree people of the assisted living nebula.
Yeah. Or where they went to the it was the $300 episode where they go to the spider homeworld and they just start murking all these spiders, and they're like explaining how like they weren't even fighting back properly and they just stole all of their goods and ran away. Zap's pretty cool. I'll give you Zap.
Yeah, I think it's just because there's just I think that because he's just genuinely just a terrible person, there's just a lot that you can do with it. That and he's voiced by Billy West, and Billy West is pretty great.
Trying to load up because I know I said Robot Devil. I don't think he's in a huge amount of episodes.
But he's in some really good ones, like like there's the first episode where they're trying to get Bender. There's like this one where they're trying to get Bender, not Bender's. Yes, the one where Bender gets damned to robot hell, and they have to go in and.
Yes. That's the first episode, I believe, that the Robot Devil appears in season 1.
Yeah, and of course you mentioned the devil robot. What was it? The devil robot's hands are idle playthings.
Just the devil's hands are idle playthings.
Oh, okay.
Favorite
episode. I figured that was it, but I thought they might have tried to do something funny with the titles like they usually do, so I tried to go a bit more.
No, it's just as like weird, like nonchalantness. Like he is the devil, but then he still just makes stupid mistakes, like putting his own name on the wheel of robots and stuff like that, or just messing around with Bender, breaking out into song. Yeah, I don't think there's a time where the Robot Devil misses. Even though there's not a lot of times he swings, I don't think he misses at any point.
And even though he's the literal Robot Devil, still not the most evil character in the show.
Oh, hell no.
Like, who do you think is the most... Because I think that if we talk about top three, it's like Robot Devil, Mom, and Richard Nixon. Which one do you think is the most evil out of all three?
I was going to give it to Mom.
True, but I think Nixon comes in a good second.
Nixon is not a great character, for sure. In the way of, like, a bad character. Like, a morally bad character. Not a badly written or anything.
Just like the real Richard Nixon.
Yeah. Nixon works well with Agnew. I like him randomly decreeing stuff.
His robot body that just goes like he's Lurch from Addams Family.
That's all he needs to do. It's funny. I like it. I love the jowl slapping that Nixon does. That's what gives him points over Mom in terms of likability. Mom, I was written with very little redeeming qualities. She was written as a pure villain.
I mean, you could argue that like Morbo is the most evil person, but he never does anything evil. He just shits on everyone.
Yeah.
Hello, Morbo. How's the family? Belligerent and numerous. All humans are vermin in the eyes of Morbo.
Yeah, Morbo slaps too. I feel like most of them slap.
Most of the characters are pretty solid. Like, there's no one who shows up and I'm like, we're doing an episode with them, you know?
I'm trying to think quickly if there is any of those characters that I don't like that.
I remember Matt Groening did say that Hyper Chicken is like his least favorite character.
Okay.
Do you even know who Hyper Chicken is?
No.
Yeah, neither did I. It's the big chicken lawyer. The big southern chicken lawyer. That's his name. I didn't know that was it. I never even thought about his name, but that's it.
I thought he was just going to be called Chicken Lawyer.
Yeah, same, yeah, but no, it's Hyper Chicken. That's his name.
Okay. No, I'm looking at a big cast poster and I'm not seeing anyone here that I like hate or can't stand.
Yeah.
They're all pretty good. When you're rewatching though, you got to make a decision. Did you decide, or do you usually decide, to watch the movies? Because I feel like people are really divided on the movies.
Yeah. Usually, I don't watch that. Well, okay, I really like the episode where the cast, not episode, I forget which movie it's a part of. It's the one where they travel to like the fantasy world in Bender's imagination.
Bender's Game, the one I watched.
Yes, that's right, because they also do the stuff with the nudists. Like, what are they? The space nudists, the nudist people. Them.
I believe that's Into the Wild Green Yonder. No, billion.
No,
Beast
Into
with
the
a
Wild
Billion
Green
Backs.
Yonder. Into the Wild Green Yonder is the one about the golf course.
Yeah, I forgot. It's Beast with a Billion Backs.
Yeah.
No, Bender's Game is the correct answer. It is the only movie I rewatch. The others a little bit weaker.
Oh, I'm thinking of Bender's Big Score. Never mind.
Bender's Big Score was a heist movie.
Yeah.
Bender's Game was the
that's
D&D
the one with the
one.
with the nudist naked aliens.
Yeah. There's something about a D&D movie that is kind of Lord of the Rings. By kind of, I mean entirely Lord of the Rings. It's done really well. I love Bender's Game. It was where I was headed, where I think the only down piece of it is how the Niblonians are used, just as an absolute crap farm. But the rest of the movie slaps. I really like jumping between the worlds, where Bender's going crazy. He goes to an insane asylum for robots, and then boom, we're transported into this D&D world that he's created in his head.
It's a good movie. It's the only one that I actually like to rewatch. The other ones I'm not. Bender's Big Score, kind of, but it does get a bit too plot heavy for my taste.
Yeah, Futurama is best in 22-minute episodes.
Yeah.
The movies do just struggle a little bit.
Like the Beast with a Billion Backs, I'm not a fan of, if I'm being honest.
No, Bender's Game is the only one I rewatch. And I will go out of my way to rewatch Bender's Game, like outside of Futurama rewatches. Because I think it's just a solid movie that you don't need a lot of Futurama knowledge. You need to know who the characters are and stuff, but other than that, you're pretty solid throughout it.
Yeah. Okay. I think at this point we are just hitting random episodes. But before we close out, Grady, any other episodes that you wanted to touch on, or anything else you wanted to talk about?
Trying to view the list of episodes that I watched. Godfellas was pretty good, where Bender becomes God and goes through an entire cycle of that.
I think that is often cited as like the best episode on the show.
Yeah, I don't think it's as good as some others, but other people do hold it in high regards. Yeah. Luck of the Friarish is still just as sad as it always is.
Yeah. The ones involving like Fry's family do tend to be kind of sad.
Yeah, I'd put Jurassic Park and Luck of the Friarish as like top 2 sad episodes for sure. Roswell That Ends Well, where Fry becomes his own grandpa, is pretty funny. Or
okay,
great uncle.
That's an amazing episode.
Yeah, those are most of the ones I rewatched. If you just like throw a dart at a dartboard, picking a random Futurama episode, you're probably gonna hit a banger.
Actually,
I would say
what was the one where they went to
70%.
that random planet and then it was like an alien entity that forces them all to switch gender?
Don't remember that one. Or
that one
was definitely not the name.
Yeah, I don't remember the name, but I do remember that one.
That would be Newtopia? I just googled it. An alien who does not understand the concept of gender conducts experiments on the crew, changing all of their genders. There you go. The promo image is Fry in a test tube with big tits.
What more do you really want?
That's a highlight for me. Is there anything you wanted to add? Oh, I take it back. The Were Car.
Oh, yes, the Were Car episode is also...
And Robot Santa.
The Robot Santa episodes also tend to be pretty good. Like, I didn't know this, but did you know the episode where Bender becomes Robot Santa? Did you know that was actually banned for a long time?
No, what happened in that episode that made it bannable?
I don't know, I think it was just the violence in general.
Okay.
It's just more violent than usual.
But
yeah, I watched that episode a bunch growing up, and I had no idea that it was ever banned. Like, it's found on DVDs, but they usually, in syndication, they usually omit it from the broadcast.
Just a little bit of violence, get over it. It's Santa, man. Did you not know that Santa runs around with a Tommy gun?
I forgot hedonism bot. That's another.
Ah, yes.
Whenever I see an image of like a lounging Roman emperor or one of those long chairs, I always think of hedonism bot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've pretty much covered everything with Futurama. Even though most of this episode was just us going, man, this episode was great, and man, this episode was great.
It might not have been the most coherent episode. I don't even know if we explained the concept of Futurama, and we're like 50 minutes in.
Can you edit it back in? Like, if I explain it now, can you edit it back in?
Nope.
It's Futurama. People know what it's about.
There's a guy, he's from the 1999, he gets frozen for 1,000 years, he pops out, there's a talking robot, there's a cyclops mutant, they become friends, they work as a postage delivery, because it's funny, because that's what he used to do back in the old days, and they go on hijinks with their crazy lobster friend and various other characters.
Yes.
That's the whole concept.
We barely touched on the voice cast, Grady.
Yeah. Oh, the bureaucrat episode, I think it might be the one you're talking about where they went to Mexico, where Hermes is like either getting demoted or promoted. I don't fully recall. I just remember them going into the head of the bureaucrats, and there's the badge numbers, and there's D&D monsters and everything.
Okay, well, we may as well quickly run through the cast. Although a lot of these have very storied, careers, so we're not going to be able to cover everything. But of course, Billy West plays a bunch of characters, notably Fry and Zap Brannigan. He's done just an obscene amount of things. He played Stimpy in Ren and Stimpy. I didn't know that, so go figure. But he's done tons of different things. John DiMaggio, who of course plays Bender. Almost wasn't in the reboot, but then last minute he did manage to agree to it, which I'm very, very grateful for, because it just wouldn't be Futurama without him, if we're being real.
Yeah, he got that money.
Oh man, where do we even start with John DiMaggio? I mean, he's from things big and small. In recent stuff, he's been in like Loud House and Amphibia, but like, I think he. Hang on, I'm just looking down the list. Yeah, I didn't know this, but he played I think he played like Uka Uka in the old Crash Bandicoot games.
Okay.
Yeah. Or maybe some of the recent ones. I don't know. I didn't know this, but he also voices the Scotsman in Samurai Jack. Speaking of Samurai Jack, we have Phil Lamar, who plays Hermes Conrad, whose most famous roles include Jack from Samurai Jack.
Wow.
And Marvin from Pulp Fiction.
Crazy.
Yeah. But of course, he's done a whole bunch of stuff. Lauren Tom, who voices Amy Wong. I'm not super familiar with a lot of the stuff that she's done, though. I think Amy Wong is probably the most prominent thing that I've heard her do. I think she's been in a few other shows, like Young Justice and Solar Opposites. Anything else you wanted to add with her, or?
No.
Oh,
I quite like the Amy character, but I'm not very familiar with her voice actress.
Yeah. Also, Nibbler is voiced by Frank Welker. Are you familiar with that name, Grady?
It sounds familiar.
I'm not surprised, because he's been in everything, Grady. Since the 80s.
Everything.
He's been in everything. Just name an animated property, he's probably done a voice for it. For years and years.
In Futurama.
Yes. As I said before, he plays Nibbler in Futurama. Pretty much in like a lot of old movies, just name like I know he was the voice of Scooby-Doo for a long time. And Fred, he also played Fred on Scooby-Doo. Just name any animal in an animated property, and it was probably him. He does animal impressions like nobody's business. But far and away, his most famous role is he played Megatron in the original Transformers cartoon, and in many of its subsequent iterations of the Transformers. He's the Megatron.
All right, I'll give you that then. He's important.
He's very important. Speaking of prolific and important, the guy who plays Abner. Do you remember Abner?
No, I'm blanking.
Actually, I'm also blanking. It's a name that's very familiar to me.
Googling. Furious. Okay.
Oh, he's from the baseball episode. He's the owner of the team.
Yes. Okay. You're just talking about SpongeBob here.
Yes, Tom Kenny. Also been in absolutely everything because he plays SpongeBob. Of course, all the various celebrity voices play themselves, like Al Gore, all the various Star Trek actors like George Takei, William Shatner, Leonard Nimoy. Dan Castellaneta, the guy who plays Homer Simpson in The Simpsons. He plays the Robot Devil.
There you go.
Yeah.
Very different.
Yeah, and I can't believe I missed her. Katie Siegel, who plays Leela. I can't believe I missed her. Like, one of the
only a little important.
Only just a little important. Her most famous role outside of this is probably the mum on 8 Simple Rules, although I know she's done a fair amount of voice work as well.
Literally, if you think that there is a mother in a TV show, she plays it.
Yeah, it's either
like,
her
honestly.
or the... Yeah. She's like the quintessential, like, early 2000s TV mum.
Yeah, she played Peggy in Married with Children. Obviously, Kate, the mother in 8 Simple Rules.
Yeah.
And there was like 3 other roles, I remember. I was looking her up, where she just plays mother of. She
gets typecast as the mother, which is why I think she enjoys being Leela so much, because Leela's very, very far removed from that sort of archetype.
But she plays the role well.
Yes, plays the role very well. Yeah, Grady, we've gone for an hour on Futurama, so
I knew we would.
Yeah, I knew we'd go pretty long as well. Anything else you wanted to add before we close this out?
Great show, go watch it.
Yes, absolutely fantastic show. Highly recommend. One of my favorites. In fact, I'd say it's my second favorite TV show, next to Community. All right, Grady. So before we wrap this thing up for good, can you please tell me, what are we covering next time?
I'm saying
that both for the audience and myself, because you have told me, but I've completely forgotten.
Yes, next time is the third of 4 episodes of the final season, the second to last episode of the season. We did Community, which is, together one of our favorite shows, Futurama, together one of our favorite shows. We're going to take a dip over to Grady's side now. We're going to be talking about that medical drama comedy. It's Scrubs, and there was not a final season. It doesn't exist. I swear to God, if you bring it up on the episode, I'm just going to edit out every mention of it.
That's all I'm going to watch. I'm not going to watch anything else. I'm just going to watch the last season of Scrubs.
And then I will record for myself talking about Turk and JD for an entire hour.
Oh, dope. So I don't have to show up to the recording next week? I could just chill?
I will drive around to your house, which I can now do.
Actually,
this
that's
is now
true.
a valid threat.
We do live within driving distance now. You don't know my new address, though.
I do. You sent it to me.
That's what I did.
So you better go watch some Scrubs, and you better cry when the old lady dies.
Oh, does that mean I have to watch the episode of Brendan Fraser gets cancer?
Yes.
Oh, that's a sad episode.
The best episodes of Scrubs are the sad ones.
I'm really glad Brendan Fraser's career has actually picked up. Good for him. Good for him. He's a solid actor.
Wrap us up, champion.
Thank you, everyone, for joining us today on this episode as we discussed at length about one of our favorite shows, Futurama. We hope to catch you all next time. As always, I have been Campion, joined by my good buddy Grady. We hope to see you all next time. This has been the Lexicon of Lore, and I hope to see you all next time. I added way too many. See you all next time, Grady. I'm sorry.
We'll see you all next time.
Next time.